My name is Naira Scarcity, anchor on today's show. And on flip side today, our focus is on the new Naira notes, the Naira redesign. It's no longer news that these sets of notes are fading away, these 1,500 and 200 Naira notes, and we're replacing it with these ones. Yes, I'm a big girl, I have them. Well, these new notes are removing the old notes in a process we call demonetization. It's no news that these notes have come to stay, but the problem we are having is that the new notes are scarce. So we will address a few issues before we start this discussion proper. First things first is, it's perfectly normal for a country to redesign its currencies every 5 to 8 years. And for Nigeria, we've not redesigned our notes for about 20 years. And I want you to also know that the CBN is meant to be an independent institution. It doesn't take advice from the Minister of Finance. We know that drama of the minister saying she was not aware. So it's not exactly out of place for the Minister of Finance not to be aware of the plans to redesign some of our notes. All right, so are we ready to be serious now? Why are we redesigning the currencies now? And according to some experts, they gave reasons. The first thing they said was the banknotes are being ordered by people. People are storing it. Statistics prove that 85% of the currency printed by the CBN are outside the vaults of the commercial bank. They are in the hands of individuals in the society. We have too much cash in our hands. You notice this in our parties. CBN printed about 3.2 trillion naira, and out of it, 2.73 trillion naira is in circulation. Absurd, right? And if we're going to join those countries that are dealing in the cashless economy style, we cannot work with these amounts of money in circulation. The cashless economy means a lot for us. Less of counterfeit notes in circulation, security and corruption will be minimized. And how is that going to happen? Because monies for ransom, for bribe, and other illicit transactions can easily be traced. So demonetization, they say, can also help reduce our 17 years of inflation that we've been dealing with. There's so much economic jargon to explain that. I'm not an economist. That's why I brought some here to talk about today's topic. Now, here comes the news. According to the Global Index database in 2021, less than 50% of Nigerian adults do not have a bank account. So how are these people going to be doing bank transfers? What happens to the person who has a small business, who sells sweets and chewing gum along the road, who sells sachet water? How are they going to do their transactions? Am I going to transfer 20 naira to them? Well, Nigeria gave us 3 months notice for this demonetization. But in a country like the UK, where they phased out the paper £20, it spends about 2 years to do this. They were alongside the polymer notes. The paper notes were in use from February 2020 till September 2022 here when they stopped the paper notes. Nigeria just copied Indian style. India removed their 500 and 1,000 rupee banknotes within 6 weeks. And it led to chaos for them. People died. There was riot, there was protest. And people lost their jobs because employers couldn't pay. 1.5 million jobs were lost, and 1% of the economic GDP was wiped out. Do you think Nigeria has made or is making a mistake? And how can we get back to normal? These and more we'll be focusing on today's show, Flipside. I have someone who I've not seen on television for a while. This girl just left off. Inside this economic crunch, cash crunch. She went to Citrus, so you join. Welcome, Mo.
Thank you very much. I don't get body for strong wahala like this.
Now, Betty Leche is our business analyst in ITV. She anchors our business program on television. So we're glad we had to pull her. She's still on break. We had to pull her down to talk about this. And I have a very special person here. These ones are the big boys in town as we speak. These people are field attendants, are the rain guys. I have the PRO of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agency in the studio. His name is Collins Odiasi. Good to have you here.
It's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
It's a big name, POS operators. Their PRO is here. People should quote them. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with Blessing.
Yes.
We're having issues. There was an update this afternoon, just breaking. In fact, it's a breaking news.
Yes.
I know Kaduna, Kanu, and Kogi governor sued the federal government, and the Supreme Court has given their judgment that this deadline should be extended. And IMF is saying, please obey Supreme Court order and extend the deadline. But notwithstanding, Nigerians, we always have a panic spirit when we hear something is going to leave or it's going to be discussed for a while. We panic and do everything. But how can we deal with this degenerating situation in cash matters?
Okay, first, I'd like to start from what you said in your intro. You mentioned that Nigeria adopted the India style. Yeah, and if you watch Indian movies, a lot of it's unrealistic. You find someone jumping from one place and the person is like flying several miles to another place, and you're wondering how did that happen. So first of all, I would say the model that the CBN has adopted in this Naira design is quite unrealistic. It's not the first time that the CBN is redesigning Naira note. In fact, Naira notes were first redesigned in 1965, 2 years after Nigeria became a republic, to depict that the notes were now issued by the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In 1968, again, after the war, during the wartime, it was also redesigned, and subsequently it has been redesigned. Now, we're in 2023, but in 2022, the CBN governor said Nigeria notes had not been redesigned for quite a long time. Now, usually the practice is that notes are redesigned every 5 to 8 years, so Nigeria had surpassed that long enough. And so it wanted to redesign the Naira note to curb hoarding of cash, because according to the CBN governor, statistics shows that 85% of cash in circulation was outside the vaults of the CBN, outside the vaults of commercial banks. Yes, so it wanted to curb that. On the security angle, it also wanted to reduce chances of people paying ransom, because ransom for kidnapping, abduction are paid via cash. It also wanted to reduce counterfeiting. So many benefits. Yes, agreed. And then it redesigned the Naira note, launched that December 15, 2022, and then January 31, 2023 was given as date for deadline of phasing out of the old notes. This is the 8th day in February 2023. I don't know how much of new Naira notes that you have received, Daisy, but I have received very few, and that I had to buy. Now,
if I tell you how I got them,
yes, I said I had to buy because we used to know before this time that Naira exchanges to foreign currencies, but we've seen now in Nigeria that you exchange Naira for Naira, and the exchange rate is way higher than what you would exchange for foreign currencies. Imagine exchanging 5,000 Naira for 6,000 Naira, that's 1,000 Naira in excess. So this situation is really, really terrible. It's terrible because it has pushed the cost of transaction very high. For somebody who has just 10,000 Naira in their bank account and they want to withdraw that money, they're not going to get 10,000 Naira. From what we understand, I think the POS operator here is going to explain to us how it happens that you'll be able to withdraw just 8,000 Naira if you have 10,000 Naira left in your account, because the charges will be 2,000 Naira. So it's a very big problem. Yes, there are no laws stating exactly the procedure for Naira redesign, but I think that this abrupt timeline that the CBN has brought about is not beneficial at all to the Nigerian economy. It's just too much of a short time, and it has led to several issues. You find videos of people going naked in the bank. You find videos of people attacking bank officials, and some of them trying to scale the fence. It's really terrible, and lots of sabotage happening at different points.
So the extension of the deadline is a welcome development?
Well, it should be. Ideally, it should be. I'm using the word should, where court injunctions are obeyed. I know it's the Supreme Court, but it won't be the first time that we've seen court injunctions being flouted. Maybe that's why IMF is even begging. Ordinarily, IMF should not be appealing if it's a court injunction, particularly one coming from the Supreme Court. It stands. But where you have to appeal is because the IMF, I think, suspects that that injunction may be flouted.
All right. She mentioned the video of bank officials jumping their fences and running away. We had stories of the one that happened in Benin yesterday, the Zenith Bank that they almost attacked. They almost pulled down the gates, if not for security operatives, and several other banks in Ondo State. It was a disaster. So, do you really think now the citizens are saying the commercial banks, the deposit money banks, are sabotaging the efforts of the Apex Bank? Do you have that same school of thought that they are to blame, or the CBN is the one at fault here?
Thank you very much. I will not probably support that assertion. Yes, because the commercial banks, if you go to them now, many of them will tell you they don't have this money. Yes, if you go to, let's say we are in CBN. CBN told us that what they released to the banks in the last 2 days was about 400 million naira. So how do you expect all the banks in Edo State to share 400 million naira? So for me, I will not totally blame the commercial banks. They may have some faults anyway, but the issue is with the CBN. They have to make these notes available for our people to use. Because you can't just imagine, go to the banks. I was just coming from the bank just now. I was only able to withdraw 10,000 naira from 2 banks. The first bank paid me 5,000 naira. Second bank, 5,000 naira. I showed you, before we came to this, I showed you the money now. That was what I was able to withdraw. So my plan is that immediately we finish this program, we'll go back and go and look for another 10,000 naira or so.
Don't say too much. 10,000 is a lot of money in this period. You can't be bought.
So the point I'm driving at is that I would not totally blame the commercial bank, but instead the CBN. Because the fact is, and they've always said that they don't want too much money in circulation. So I'm sure this is a strategy to reduce the amount of money in circulation. But how would they be able to put this to Nigerians? So they now decided to devise a means by probably pushing the blame to the commercial banks. I know the CBN is the regulator, is the regulating institution. So the commercial bank dare not come up and say what the CBN saying, what the CBN is saying is wrong. So the truth of the matter is that the CBN must come out and explain to Nigerians what the amount they've given to these banks. We wrote a report yesterday. We submitted it to the branch controller in Benin here. We told them, please, sir, these are our observations since this process started. Please, sir, we are asking, give us a detailed report of how these monies were disbursed to these commercial banks, probably on a weekly basis. So we can do this and put it in the media, maybe your media here and other sister stations. Let's put it there. Let the people have access to this information that, this is the money we have released to these people. It's these people that is sabotaging our effort. So if that is done, then we can then exonerate the CBN from the whole issue and probably shift the blame to the commercial banks.
Interesting. Okay, now, President Buhari asked for 7 days, although the 7 days has not elapsed. Well, do you even think that we can deal with all of these he can deal with this in 7 days? He had about 3 months to plan for this, but he wants 7 days to fix this issue, plus the judgment from the courts now.
Okay. Well, I think 7 days is enough if there is sincerity on every side, beginning with the Central Bank of Nigeria. But at the time that they redesigned the notes, they should have thought about how much of cash Nigerians deal with on a daily. I know the CBN plans to encourage cashless policy, but given the peculiarities that we have in Nigeria, you do not just pick a policy that operates in the US or in the UK and try to implement it in Nigeria. A lot of persons are unbanked. We have close to 50% of Nigerians unbanked. Now, how do you tell those persons who have no bank account to make transfers or to make online transactions? That's not something that's going to be possible. And then we understand our trade. We have the informal markets. We have the open market system where you go to buy, for instance, you're going to buy tomatoes and you say you want to buy tomatoes of 300 naira. You say, madam, let me transfer to you. I think the woman looks at you and think, you're not serious. You understand? So for every purchase, there are certain kinds of things you want to buy. You can't make transfer except you go to the shopping mall. But how many persons go to the shopping mall? When you want to buy perishables, most times you want to go to the open market and just pick here, pick there, pick. So if you consider our peculiarities or the transport system even, you're going to, from Oluku to Ring Road, for instance, if you stay in Benin City, Nigeria, you understand what I'm talking about. But even intra-city commuting, it's going to be difficult making online transactions, except for maybe organized system that the government operates with the transport system where you have cards. If that's not existent, or which is not existent with the regular commercial bus drivers, you can't go anywhere. or you do the cab service, how many persons can afford to pay for a cab ride from one point to another? That's an issue. So there's so much demand for cash. And until these systems that we operate are being developed to the extent that it can accommodate online transactions for almost everything, you can't be talking about going totally cashless. So there is high demand for cash. At the time the CBN was redesigning, that should have been considered. Now, for the money that you have redesigned and that you want to put it in circulation, the CBN complained of hoarding. I think that hoarding is still very much in place right now, because we've seen videos of some persons having these new Naira notes in bundles and they're spraying at parties. Where did they get them from? That's where the sabotage comes in. Now, we've heard a story of racketeering even by bank officials. Whether these are mere allegations, we cannot actually say, but they seem to be stories making the rounds almost every day, where even within the bank, you want to withdraw a certain amount of money, you're made to pay extra for it. And this is not as if it's official charges that you're paying for. So it seems like as the cash is coming from the CBN to the deposit money banks, it is going to some hands. It is not spreading evenly. So if there is sincerity from the CBN and from the commercial banks, of course, in 7 days, it can be achieved. Even the timeline that the CBN gave for the phasing out of the old notes and distribution of the new ones is rather suspicious. Is it because it's an election period? Where is the evidence that shows that if you redesign Naira notes, then there won't be vote buying? Because I'm looking at a situation and I'm thinking, for persons who would pay 2,000 Naira extra just to get 10,000 Naira, and somebody gives you 10,000 Naira for free and say, vote for me, do you think such a person would not collect that money?
Take it.
So I think what the CBN is not realizing that it's pushing further inflation rates, because now the cost of goods and services has gone way high. Money is hard to come by. So you can't easily make purchases. And the election thing, vote buy, would even be more because people don't have cash. When cash comes to them freely, many of them won't even think about what the cash is for, if it's for vote buying, as long as I get money. So again, to answer your question, with sincerity from the authorities concerned, I think in 1 week, once money comes, adequate supply comes from the CBN to deposit money banks and is being disbursed at the ATM point in banking halls. You can get into bank halls with ease. You get new Naira notes. Of course, all of this will be over.
Okay, interesting. Now, there have been reports that, or accusations and counter-accusations that this whole design thing is highly political. All right, it's not only to stop vote buying. Some said, like the governor of Kano, Abdullahi Ganduje, says the Emefiele is just being bitter because he was unable to clinch the PDP and APC presidential ticket. Another said he's doing it to sabotage the presidential candidate of the APC because we see bullion grounds even missing their ways to his compound. And so it's believed he has a lot of cash and he's going to use the old notes. So if we can stop this old notes not being used by the election, he will deal with that particular candidate. What do you think? What do you think? Is this a political strategy or it's just a wise one but ill thoughts?
For me, I will not. I'm not a politician, but I would say I don't think the CBN governor is sabotaging the effort of the presidential candidate of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yeah, I will not totally agree because they belong to the same political party. Although the CBN governor is not supposed to be a politician, but there were reports the other time that he wanted to run for president through an APC. But for me, I would say the CBN governor was appointed by the president. And if the political party of the president is not having issue with the CBN governor, an appointee of the current administration, so what do you want us to say? So me, I don't totally believe that the CBN governor has any sinister plan to sabotage the effort of the presidential candidate of the APC. But let's ask this question. Why is it that it's only the presidential candidate of the APC that is raising this issue? We have other political, about 17 other political parties feeding candidates for this presidential election.
You know the PDP presidential candidate, there are rumors that he's broke. Rumors that he's very broke. That's why he's trying to push him. Particularly someone we know that has been rich for a long time. Okay. Then the Labour Party, we've heard several statements like stingy.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But it's okay. Those are all political assumptions.
Yes.
All right. Still on you before we go on a short break. We've seen the videos of bank operators running out of the banks and people trying to attack them. No one is going to burn down the CBN offices around. It's just the commercial banks that will face it.
Sure.
I know. So I had a discussion with a guy. He's also a finance expert, and he said, "You do not blame the people because they are attacking the banks. The banks have given us reason to doubt their sincerity." Have you ever, when last did you go to the bank and you got mint out of the bank? And I talked about it and said, that's true. I said, but don't you see mint being sold? Where did they get it from? Is it CBN that gave these people directly?
No.
That's not possible. Okay, have you also not gone to bank where they'll say the ATMs out of service or unable to dispense cash? But you will go to POS machines and you always find cash. Okay,
Particularly on weekends.
yeah. Where are they getting the cash from? Is it not from the banks? So we've always had the banks not being sincere, and that's why people are taking their vexation on them. But that's a matter for another day. I said that to say this. If the banking halls are no longer safe for the workers, what is your union doing about the POS operators? Before now, when there was no cash crunch, POS operators were being attacked, being mobbed, people stealing from them and all of that. So are there any plans by the union to teach them maybe self-defense or something? What's the plan? And I'm asking you two questions. One, the second one is the charges are now so exorbitant. It was a funny skit where I think the same Edopi kid who went to withdraw 2,000 naira said, I want to withdraw, I'm saying 7,000. No, I want to withdraw this. The charge is 5,000 to withdraw 2,000. It's extreme. You withdraw 5K, you're charged as much as 2,000 by some. Some will charge you 1,000 naira. The charges are not the same. So what is your union doing to put stability? If you have a union and you can't speak one voice, I'm wondering.
Now let me start with the first question. That what is the association doing? Because we like to better address as association rather than union. What is the association doing to protect our members during this period? The thing is that we've always trained our members, because if you look at some of the POS agents, you see their kiosk is small. There's no protection as such. So we have always told them, if you look at the environment, that the environment is so quiet and you can't feel movement of people, or sometimes you don't need to just sit inside the kiosk there. You can sit by the side and begin to observe the environment. So if the environment is not safe for you to do business, you can pack your things and go. But some of us that probably we don't use kiosks. We operate offices. Probably we've gotten to a point that we no longer use kiosks. So our place is secured. Like for my place now, my complex, there's security. So for me, I can't say that it's secure, but from my charges and the way I render my service to my customers, I believe nobody will want to come and probably attack me. With when I came in just now, they said we are cashing out this period. Yes. I'm not among the people cashing out. That is the fact. Yeah, if you go to my locations now, my two locations now, our charge is still normal.
Normal, would you mean 100 naira for 8,000 naira or 500 naira, 5,000 naira for 100 naira?
The maximum I give now, the maximum I dispense now in my locations is 2,000, and it's still 100 naira. That is the maximum you can collect. Any amount, that is the maximum you can collect from my location presently, because I don't even have the cash.
Okay, 2,000 naira.
Yes, 2,000 naira. Yes, you withdraw 2,000 naira and you pay just 100 naira. And that is the maximum I give now. I've decided to do this so that the money can go around. Because like I said before, outside this place, I said I have up to 200 to 300 customers to service a day. So by the time I give just one person the whole money, so how will I service the other customers? So my strategy is to reduce it to an amount that will be able to probably go around for that day. Then while I start to begin to also for the next day. So that is how we handle down. Then the second question, please, can you remind me?
I was asking about making the charges safe.
Okay. Yes, we are actually working on that. If you listen to the CBN yesterday, they even give us a crew that we can just follow. They said for every 5,000 naira that an agent should not charge more than 100 naira. So meaning for 10,000 naira, an agent should charge 200 naira. So I'm sure moving forward, we are going to follow the recommendation of the CBN.
Federal government making commands and decrees.
Please, I want to react to that. The CBN saying that for every 5,000 naira, agents should not collect more than 100 naira or 200 naira charge. That's where the money is available. Before now, we used to know that you collect or you make withdrawal of 5,000 naira for just 100 naira, or in some areas at most for 200 naira. But it depends on how the agent is also getting the cash.
We are getting there. We are getting
where
there.
Agents are not getting cash and they are buying from persons who we don't know where they get the cash to. Trust Nigerians business. They want to make more money. So there's lots of round tripping going on.
Okay. In fact, we submitted. I said we submitted a letter to CBN yesterday, and we also wrote to the governor. We have said that these days, go to the petrol stations around. If you want to pay with your ATM card or transfer, they will tell you that you better pay with cash.
Yes.
But they prefer cash. That cash is sold to POS operator at probably 10%. Because someone told me that he bought 100,000 naira for 10,000. Is that not 10%? So what do you expect the agent to do? So the agent will in turn probably add something, a fraction to it, so that it can also make profit. Don't forget that this agent has a staff, 1 or 2, and then other expenses, data, and paper roll, and all of this. Everything must be factored into the expenses or the cost of running the business. But we have discouraged that. We have condemned it in totality because the CBN Act 2007, Section 21, subsection 1 and 4 criminalize the sales and the buying and selling of Nigerian notes. So we have told our agents, our members, and let me tell you that it's not all the agents you see around that are members. Some have not registered with us. You know, association in Nigeria is voluntary. So we have told those that are in our net that on no occasion should you go and buy money. You should, because the CBN says don't buy money. Just yesterday, probably most of you may not have heard this. The EFCC, they went out yesterday to raid people that are selling and buying money. So because this is against the Nigerian, it's against the CBN Act, and we must all discourage it. No filling station, supermarket, abattoir, or other business places should sell money to agents. Tell them you don't sell money. And our agents, we have told them, don't go and buy money. You are not supposed to buy money. If you don't have the money to carry out your transaction, sit at home. This whole thing will come and go.
Is it possible for them to sit at home if you don't have money? Let's understand that people use cash for business. If I'm a trader, for instance, and I need to go to maybe the village market to buy goods to sell, I don't have cash. I must make sales at the end of the day to make ends meet, to take care of my family. And all. How is it possible for people to sit down and not buy the cash? I don't think I really blame those who are buying the cash. Okay. If the cash is available, why would people buy cash?
If a businesswoman buys 100,000 naira for 20,000 naira, how much profit is that businesswoman going to make? That
is why we find that the prices of goods and services has increased, because people want to cover up for the cost they've incurred.
The truth of the matter is that this whole thing is not going to take us anywhere. And it's going to further increase the inflation that we are currently experiencing. So our advice as an association is that we should preach against this. The CBN is already doing a lot in that direction. They are already preaching against this, that on no occasion should anybody buy money. Money is not supposed to, money is not to be bought. Right. So that is where we are.
We know in Nigeria today, this sales of money is not even secret. If it's something that's legal, we're doing it with our full chest out. They sell it in parties, big pockets in marketplaces. They are arranged in layers at Ring Road here. You know, you go to the bank to withdraw even, let's start with dollar, to withdraw dollar. You deposited the dollar, they'll tell you they don't have. Or you go to a bookie, bureau the change, they have dollar to give to you. Where are they getting dollar from? That's another discussion for another day.
That's the racketeering. That's the racketeering.
Cabal in charge of dollar from the CBN. And the person's name that was fingered, or persons, are very close to the powers at the top of the top. You know? But it's okay. We're going on a very, very short break. When we return, we'll be concluding this discussion today. Alright, good to have you on the show. We're talking about the cash crunch, the Naira redesign, no end in sight for all the calamities that seem to be accompanying it. And there was a video in circulation. We were unable to put it on your screen, but I'm sure most people who have access to an Android phone have seen that video, whether on Twitter, on Instagram, or on WhatsApp or something. Well, there's a video of people standing on a queue, fighting, some getting naked in the banking hall, and then you see another set of people spraying this money in bundles. There was a party and monies were just coming out like God. See money. People are even stepping on it, you know, to dance, which is something that we've been talking about. You having just, if you carry dollar that has small oil stain, nobody takes it from you. The bank's machine will reject it. If the dollar is even too old, say, the machine will reject it. But forget Naira, we take it to do everything with Naira. It's something very sad. For now, the Nigerian actress, I cannot remember, was recently arrested because of these money, and they said she was devaluing our Naira with the way she was spraying and stepping on it. That was what they attached to it. I thought she was insensitive showing up such an amount. But what do you think about the arrest?
Well, in as much as the CBN rules frowns at you spraying the Naira and particularly stepping on it, there was even a time the CBN came with a reminder to people that it will begin to arrest those who spray money at parties. So that law has been in existence even before the redesign of the Naira note. But it looks like scapegoating for that actress, because that's not the only person I think I know that sprays money at parties. Was she arrested because she was spraying the new Naira note? Because for a law that has been in existence even before that day, how come we've not seen so many persons who spray money? It's the culture of many Nigerians to spray money at events. How come we've not seen a lot of them being arrested like that and displayed to serve as deterrence to others? It looks very much like scapegoating, and I'm thinking that if the same officials who spotted her and arrested her could also go to banks where there are reports of racketeering, bank officials selling Naira notes to people, go over to Bureau de Change stands and to persons who are holding this Naira notes. You've seen them physically, not in your dreams, selling Naira. I'm thinking if they can't also go there to arrest them, and to others who are sabotaging the distribution of the new Naira notes. I don't know if they can't also identify these persons and do that. But the Babele angle to it is that, yeah, she's insensitive. Why would you be spraying money? People are paying so much more to get. That's just it.
No matter. Okay, now, if you have a party, would you be comfortable to be dancing and nobody's spraying you money? As in, I'm sure you are. I think we're ready to embrace this cashless economy thing where people will not spray money in party. Can we deal with that culture?
We can.
Sorry, before you answer, I need to just share my experience with you. I went to a wedding ceremony recently, and I had no cash with me, of course. So what I did was I went, as we're dancing, went close to the groom and said, okay, just call your account number. Be dancing, call your account number. And the guy was calling out his account number, and I had to credit him. So I think maybe what they would do is to just, once you get there, yeah, go close to the celebrant. You make a transfer. Maybe we'll get to that point.
Oh, nice. Okay, but do you like it?
Before now, I used to do that, spraying parties, but about 4 or 5 years ago, I've stopped it. So
people will not invite you.
if you invite me, I'll just, whatever I have to give you will be put in an envelope,
Yes.
then I'll give it to you.
That's a good
so
one.
that is for that. And then in the areas of probably saying this lady, for instance, this lady now that was arrested, we must start from somewhere. It's a welcome development. Yes, I must confess that. It's good. Let's start from there. Because the section I quoted just now, section 21 of the CBN Act, subsection 3 or so, says nobody should match or dance on the Naira note. So that if she is convicted, she is liable for a fine of 50,000 Naira and 6 months imprisonment. And even both.
Or even both, yes.
The punishment seems so small. I remember when Dangote's daughter got married, and several other big wigs that got married, their kids got married, president's children got married. People were spraying money. That's okay. Let's leave. Okay. All right. On a final note, do you think we're really ready? Both of you, in very few seconds. Do you think we're ready for this cashless economy policy? Can we deal with it? And if we're not ready, like how long do you think we will need to be ready for it?
I don't think right now we're ready because even till now, people still have incidences where they've paid with POS and the transaction didn't go through, but they were debited. I, for one, have one I'm currently pursuing. So for several reasons, infrastructure, our internet infrastructure, and so many other reasons, it will be difficult for us to go completely cashless right now. But I think it's something that could happen naturally over time. By the time we improve on internet facility, we're able to connect with different banks seamlessly without you having your transactions hanging. So to use that word, you transfer money and it doesn't get to the account you're transferring to, it doesn't return back to you. And also we encourage those who are in banks to get into the banking system. Now, I've seen a report where in a part of the country, Kaduna State to be precise, where they were doing the cash swap. So if that could go round in that same process, also making those in banked population get into the banking system, over time it will just be a process that happens with ease. But the rush, the abrupt timeline is what I have issues. I think the CBN should in all increase time for this to happen, and naturally it will happen. Yes.
Yes, I would say let's start from somewhere. When the financial inclusion strategy was launched in 2012, so we never thought we'll get to where we are now. As of October last year, we already have about 134 million account holders in this country. So we are getting there. So people, you can come to my POS stand now. I'll open an account for you because I have principals, commercial banks and MMOs I work with. So we are getting there. For the cashless economy, let's begin to evolve. We are going to get there, but the way it was pushed to us, it came too sudden. But I believe we are going to adjust. Let's embrace alternative means of payment, like transfer, mobile app, Naira, POS transfer, and all of that. Let's meet both of them. Yes, POS. So let's meet both together.
Thank you,
I'll
Mr.
get it.
Collins, and thank you, Gigi, for being on the show today. It's been fun, but this matter is serious. We had a bit of good news now about the extension. I hope they follow. And then the NNPC also promising us that film will come out next week. We hope it comes out. But we're just hopeful. Nigerians are very hopeful people. We've dealt with a lot in recent time. From the COVID lockdown to these NSAS protests, to ASU strike, to fuel scarcity, inside of it, Lassa fever matter. Now we're dealing with cash scarcity. Nigeria's money is so expensive. People will start buying dollar, and that will make the dollar even more expensive. So, in a bit to deal with one form of inflation, we will create another, and I don't know, but I need to have cash. We deal with a cash-based thing in Nigeria as of now. I grew up to need cash. Please, we'll do it for a while. Maybe in not too long, we've tasted it. We know how it's going to eventually be. We'll be better prepared for it in the long run. But that's all we can take on the show today. Thanks for your time. We'll be back again next week with another trending issue on the other side of the news. So let it make headline. We'll bring you here on the flip side. Have a nice day. Bye.